What's up guys? For today's video, I'm installing a brand new fish finder on the Tracker V-16. I have a general idea of how this is gonna work, but since I haven't done it before, we're gonna kind of be figuring it out along the way. The main thing that has me a little nervous is running the new transducer cable through the side of the boat and into the console. I've done it before in other boats, but it seems like a really tight fit up by the console, so hopefully it goes pretty smooth. Okay, so to get started, first thing I'm gonna do is pull off this panel. That way we'll have access to the old transducer cable, then we'll get the new transducer out and start routing it along. All right, so all the screws in this boat are square drive bits. The ones I had on hand were slipping a lot. These seem to fit much better. So I'll throw a link in the description just in case you guys need a good set of square bits. I really like these so far. I have a pretty good idea where all the screws are. So what I'm gonna do is just back them out enough to get this panel off. I'm gonna try to leave the screws in the panel so that makes finding the old screw holes a little bit easier. Now this panel just comes right off. We'll go ahead and set this to the side so it's out of the way. Okay, so now we have pretty good access to see what we're working with here. The main cable we're trying to focus on is, I believe this is the transducer cable. So the transducer cable is free moving through here. If I snake a lot through this way, I might be able to use it to pull the new one through. So let's see, how much slack do I have here? Let me go ahead and pull off this old transducer so we have all that wire freed up. So these are 1/4 inch screws here for the cable guide. Got rubber washers on them. Okay, there's square drive bits in there. Let's see if this will reach. Yeah. Ooh, looks like someone stripped that out when they installed it. Naughty, naughty Tracker. Okay. Yeah, this is a little stripped out from the factory there. So with this off, this gives us a lot more cable to work with. So let's see what we can do with that now up top. All right, so unfortunately my camera died as I snaked the transducer cable through the corner of the boat here. So I'm just gonna real briefly tell you what I did. Basically, once I removed the old transducer, it freed up a lot of transducer cable. I pulled all the slack out through this side, so there was a bunch of extra transducer cable. I took the new transducer cable plug end and duct taped it to the old transducer cable wire. Then I grabbed the transducer cable from this end and pulled it through, and then that pulled both the new plug and the old transducer cable through under the deck, and it popped up right on the other side. I did have to pull pretty hard at one point. It was binding a little bit, but it didn't hurt anything and it got it through. So that's how I did it. With the transducer cable snaked through the corner here, now it's just running it along the side here. There are some loose zip ties holding everything in place. So I am gonna try to follow that same path here just to keep everything nice and neat. Following the old transducer cable's path, we're gonna go right beside it, all the way down until the next hard part. All right, so here is the next difficult part. This cable needs to come behind this box here and into the side console. If I can make that turn, we are absolutely golden, but I am not sure how I'm gonna do that. So what I might do is disconnect a transducer cable from the current fish finder so I have a little bit more to work with, and then use this to kind of pull it as far as I can. Okay, so I need to get in the boat and then try to free up that transducer cable because right now it's locked in place probably by the mount. Once I have that free, I should be able to work in conjunction with the two to hopefully snake this through. These are also square drive bits. You know, I really thought I was gonna be liking the square drive bits. I thought that they would cam out less, but these are a pain in the butt to use. Either way, we got this out, so that's good. And then that definitely frees up the transducer cable here, which was completely pinched. Power cable, we might be able to reuse for this, so I'm gonna hang on to that one. All right, so now I have the old transducer and mount off, a mount over here. I might reuse these screws. They seem to work really well into this material. Oh, there's all the extra transducer cable. It was in a big knot under here. So the rest of the transducer cable was bundled up under there in like a big mass, like mixed in with the main wiring harness. So that was causing it to not thread through. Once I undid that, I can just slide this through now. You can see it pulling it from the top. So now I should be able to just snake the new one right through here. I'm gonna pull back a bunch of the wire, and then I'm gonna tie the new one to this, pull it back through, and it'll hopefully pop right through the same hole if we're lucky. So now I have to attach this to this and see how it goes. Okay, got it through there now. We now have it at the console. All right, there it is. We got it through. It snaked actually super easy. All right, I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then we can start looking at mounting and wiring the new fish finder. All right, so before we go any further, I just wanna verify that the old power cable will power the new fish finder. They're both 4 pins, so I'd imagine this would be just fine. Make sure it doesn't give me any errors or anything for low voltage. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna mount it in the same spot the old one was. That will cover up the mounting holes here. I don't have to run wires anywhere else. I've seen some people put it here, but I kind of like this tray being open. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if the mount fits in the same position. Okay, so here's the new mount plate. Well, that'll definitely fit there, but this is the big one. Ooh, doesn't quite reach. We might need to build a little bit of a riser for this to get it up enough to fit like that, because I'd like this to be able to swivel too. I actually might have exactly what I need for that. Let me go see. All right, so I've held on to these rubber spacers for like, I don't know, 2 years now. They came off a trolling motor mount on another boat, and I was thinking I'm gonna be able to use these for something at some point, and I almost threw them out about a week ago, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I think that this is gonna raise this up just the right amount to let this still turn. The one set of spacers wasn't enough, but I did find a whole other set of spacers that maybe when combined, they'll be enough. Okay, that definitely gives me enough space. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm not gonna be able to reuse the old screw holes, but that's okay. Maybe I'll just throw some screws in there real quick just to plug them up. I have some really small stainless screws. I'm just gonna dab a little bit of silicone on each screw before I screw it down, just to make it a little bit more waterproof. All right, next, we're gonna get this mount put on. Hopefully these screws are long enough. I do have some longer ones if that's the case, but we should be okay. Okay, that one went in. That one went in. Okay, that's a good start. Okay, so for this to mount to the base plate, you got your bolt that goes through the top. Now this has to go through the plate to the nut at the bottom. Oh, maybe loosen up slightly. Good. All right, with the mount in place, everything plugged in, we're good to go. All right, so with the head unit and everything completely installed, it's time to just get the transducer on here. I'm actually pretty lucky that the transducer bracket mounts right up with the old holes. The only thing is that it might be sitting a little too low. I didn't like the placement of the stock one, so I may need to play with it a little bit to raise it up some, but we should be able to utilize the same holes. The only thing I'm gonna do differently is just fill these holes with a little bit of silicone, along with these holes here, since nothing was used on the factory installation. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and get the bracket installed onto the transducer. It's really simple. It comes with all the hardware we need. So it gets a little star washer in each hole here with the screw. Now let's take a look at our mount. We have this set of hardware here. It's gonna allow us to adjust the breakaway tension and then also the angle. So we're gonna put this on like that. And then we get nut on this side. And on this side, we get a couple things. We get a washer and we got a stainless washer and a bolt. It's gonna thread through onto the nut. And then depending on how tight this is how easy this is to kick up. You don't want it so tight where if you hit something, it breaks your mount, but you want it firm enough where it's not gonna kick up like from waves and stuff like that. So if you can move it by hand, but pretty hard, that's a pretty good tension. And then now we mount it in place. Actually, it is still kind of low though. You're really supposed to have this just skimming the water. So ideally you want this to be level with the bottom of the boat. And since there's a slant on it, this is gonna be catching water if you put it like that. So really you would want it about right up here. And that's gonna be too high with the current mounting holes. So I saw a trick where you can actually reverse this mount. So it's upside down essentially. And that gives you a little bit more room on where you can mount it. So let's try that and see if that works. And we're gonna flip this over. Oh yeah, that does bring it higher. That's actually a really good angle for the transducer too. I mean, it could probably go one more click down, but this is impacting with this here, so I might need to trim this fin slightly. Let it click down one more time to get a really good angle. But overall, this is actually really good. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just make a slight modification to this fin here. I'm gonna cut 2 slits in it, right here and right here, to allow it to slide down on these guides a little bit more, to just get one more click out of the angle so it's facing just slightly more down, and then we should be perfect for installation. Okay, score right here. All right, so let's see how that goes now. Oh yeah, there we go. That fits in there nicely. All right, let's get the bolt in here so we know it's pivoting right. And yeah, there's one more click out of it. That's perfect. That should line up absolutely perfect. All right, let's get this set back up and see how it all fits. So what I wanna do is just get these started and then we'll get it fully positioned and then we'll lock it in place. All right, so with both of those screws started, I'm gonna put the transducer in place just to make sure we're in the right general area. We're gonna wanna be about pretty much right there. Now we just need to tighten it down once we get this all in place. Make sure it's level. All right, so putting back these cable guides now, I did add a little bit of silicone just as an extra precaution. All right, I'm just doing these lightly for now until we get the cable routed and in place. All right, transducer has been reinstalled. All right, guys, well, that's the Garmin Fish Finder install. The only things you might have to do different depending on your setup is possibly replace the power cable. The power cable that was going to the previous Fish Finder worked in this one, so I didn't have to do anything with that. But for this boat specifically, the power box is right below the console, so that really wouldn't be an issue. If you guys are interested in seeing any more boat upgrades, don't forget to subscribe. I got a lot of cool stuff coming out very soon. Thanks for watching.